All right. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Keeping It Riel podcast with the M&A Youth Team. We're super excited. This is our first ever episode on camera, so you get to see our beautiful faces for the very first time. We're super excited for you to be joining us again today. We're joined by a very exciting guest, Alex Kusturok, Métis musician. And without further ado, we'll kind of jump right into the episode. So, Alex, would you like to give our listeners just a brief introduction about yourself for those of you who you might not have crossed paths with yet?
Sure. Yeah, I am a Métis musician. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, and I've been playing music for my entire life. I make my living playing music. I've kind of taken Métis music and done things with it, brought it to crowds of all ages, and just my goal as a player, what I try to do is just bring our Métis music and have it relatable to really anybody, right? And that's kind of what I do. That's kind of what I built a name on. Did a whole bunch of different things, but being a musician is kind of first and foremost.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. So what kind of drove you to get into playing fiddle music when you were a kid, and what kind of made you passionate about that growing up?
Well, I grew up in Manitoba, and back then I was kind of the last generation where there was all these dances, right? There was events, there were festivals and dances in all these kind of small towns around Manitoba. So growing up, going to those every weekend and being immersed in that, right? Like there was no iPads, there was no cell phones, there was no screens really. So wherever we went, we had to be present. So for me, that was the dance halls, the fiddle, the piano, drums. And I remember being a kid and falling asleep behind the drum kit, right? And it was just being immersed in that. That's how I got into it. I don't really think I had a choice. It was I would go up and play tunes from a young age, and then more tunes and more tunes, and the next thing you know, I'm playing a full dance, right? And then playing concerts. But it all started with the dances, right? And everybody back home was just so supportive. But as well, it was the old timers who would be dancing. If you were playing too fast, you'd hear about it, right? So it kind of instilled that dance rhythm and style in my playing from a young age.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned the dance hall parties, and that's something I kind of want to jump in right off the get-go, because that's something that we're kind of working on, and some plans for the future are throwing some Métis dance hall parties. Could you talk a bit more about just the importance of dance hall parties to Métis culture, Métis music, and just creating a general sense of community?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing those. And I was talking to President Santmeyer, and she grew up in the dance halls. That's listening to fiddle music, learning how to dance, playing cards, all of it. And the way that I grew up, it was kind of the same way. So when I kind of thought of this project, I'm going, why are there no youth kind of jumping into our music, our dance, right? And we're kind of in a weird time where the dance and music is separate. But the one thing that I remember about those halls was the hardwood floors and the acoustics in them. Didn't need much for PA, but the feel of the music, and like you could feel, you'd be tapping the feet, or the dancers would be dancing, and you would just feel that bounce and that energy throughout the hall, right? There was nothing really more powerful than that. So when we learn how to dance, like I learned how to dance before I could play fiddle, and it was just, when you danced because you were inspired by the fiddle player. You danced because you were inspired by the music that you were hearing. So we're kind of in a time where the young fiddle players and the young dancers, they're not connecting because there's no connection between the music and the dance. Either the dancers don't listen to the fiddle music, or the fiddle players don't listen, don't watch the dancers.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, to bring music and dance together just to get back to basics, in these halls. That's kind of what's missing, and that's kind of, the atmosphere and the vibe that I remember, from a young age, and it's so infectious,
Mm-hmm.
and to just kind of recreate that.
Yeah.
We heard from, we had heard from Grand Prairie, High River, I believe it's High River up there.
Mm-hmm.
I know High Prairie.
High Prairie and Peace River.
Oh, okay, I know that High
River.
Prairie is down south.
Yeah.
High River's up there. So
Yeah.
we heard from them about doing stuff like people are jumping right into it. They've seen the proposal that I made up, and I discovered ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
last week.
Yeah.
And I got a laptop computer, so between my laptop and ChatGPT, I am unstoppable. So I made a proposal for these dance hall parties, and just sent them to all the districts, and people are jumping at them.
Yeah.
Especially the older people. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have people learning how to call square, people learning how to dance, people all dancing together. And we're going to pump the music through it, right? And, I talked about music, kind of that modern influence. I'm going to bring it that way. Bring the band, the three-piece, as well as keep the traditional aspect there, right?
Yeah.
And just have that feel that I grew up with, that I didn't have a choice but to learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm hoping that young people will just be inspired by that, and to feel that.
Yeah.
Powerful.
No, I definitely think it will resonate. Just when you brought this idea to me, I was super excited because I thought about the wellness summit and the kind of kitchen party that we had at that event, and with Kikino Northern Lights, yourself, Brianna, on the fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
It just had like such a jam session kind of feel, and there was different dances getting taught, and people were picking up and trying their best at it, and it was so cool because it was such a collaborative space. It wasn't just let's create a set aside time to try to learn this. It's let's all just go on the hardwood floor and let's start playing some music and start dancing. And that's what I think is such a unique and incredible aspect of our culture, is just that learning through just enjoyment. Like, it shouldn't be structured. It shouldn't be, oh, you have to learn this. You need to learn this to pass it down. It should just be, let's learn this because it's fun and it's a great evening with your community. So I think it will resonate, and I think it's going to be a good way to just interject just some fun, some laid backness, some, like I said, less structure, and just go and enjoy a music out with some good music. Even if you just go and have a cup of coffee and visit with an old friend, and you don't really feel like dancing or
just to hang
or whatnot,
out.
Just hang out and just have that space, creating those spaces
around it. Just immerse yourself in it. Like, the youth to come up, they don't have to learn it, but to just be in that space.
Yeah.
To be in that space, you're gonna pick it up by osmosis. I didn't learn how to read music, right? I didn't learn how to dance, like you said, in that structured way. I didn't go to fiddle lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to learn how to dance the Red River Jig. It was just something that happened. Mm-hmm. So if anybody comes out to these things, you're gonna learn more just being around it, like you said. And that summit, I was thinking about that. That was special. And Kikino is doing such a powerful thing. They bring everybody in, and I was playing the gala to end Métis week there, and probably it was the most fun that I've had as a musician in I don't know how many years, because we were playing the Drops of Brandy, and the MC said, everybody come up for a social brandy. So I haven't heard it called a social brandy in a long time. So it's like back in the day, like not even back in the day, I'm not that old, I'm 33, but they would say social brandy, and everybody would come up for the drops of brandy with the two lines, and you'd be playing it for maybe an hour at that point. So at that event to end Métis week, everybody came up on stage. Yeah. And people were dancing, and the stage was going like that. People are like, the stage is gonna collapse, right? Like the signs are gonna fall. But to just be kind of immersed in that. Like people were coming up from behind me, they were dancing behind me, they were dancing here. We're playing. Like I'm starting to get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like I'm
Yeah.
serious. You can see it there.
Confirmed, he does have goosebumps.
Yeah, it was just it was so powerful. It was something that hadn't been done since a long time. A long time. And it's bad kind of how long it's been. We're at a point where people don't stick around for the dance at these functions, and you need to figure out why. But just that social brandy to have everybody there, man, it was powerful. And we hope to do that everywhere we go, right?
Yeah.
And
I think too there's a certain level of inclusiveness, because when you think about it, like there's a lot of things, not even limited to Métis community, but just society in general, that are, you have to pick a side, or you're limited in a box by your age, gender, those sort of things. But when you're at one of these dance halls, or you're in a community dancing, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you think about one certain political topic. Like at that moment, you're just all community and just sharing and enjoying the moment. So that's what I think is important to capture. And I think spreading that around the province is going to be something that's super cool.
100%. And it wasn't a concert, like I've seen a lot of events, a lot of our events hire a square dance group, and people are watching that, right? What Kikino has kind of, built up and have kind of molded is they've done the drops of brandy, and they've found a way to invite everybody up. So I remember at the gala, there was parents, there were RCMP, there was politicians, there were people there, and I have a video on my phone, and if we can find a way to kind of save that and show that here, that would be great, because I'm trying to explain it, but you can't, and even the video doesn't do it justice. You need to be in it. You need to be in it
for sure. Well, that's awesome, and stay tuned, and we're gonna have some of those getting planned here in the spring. But even if it's not planned by us, and you see like a dance hall party or a kitchen party going on in your own community, put on by a local or a district representative, go and just enjoy an evening, and immerse yourself in the culture, because that's so important. And
put the cell phone down.
Put the cell phone down.
Leave it in the car. and go. Go in and just immerse yourself in it.
For sure. Awesome. So kind of just transitioning now. Just wanted to give a disclaimer. In this part of the episode, we're going to be talking about a little bit more heavy topics, getting a little bit deeper. So if it is something that you're a little triggered about, just a fair warning. Just wanted to speak with Alex a bit. I know we had a men's mental health panel at our wellness summit, and just continuing to talk about men's mental health and mental health in general, and just work to break down that stigma. We just want to have a mental health discussion, and it's not going to be super scientific. It's not going to be super preaching or anything like that. We just want to have a man-to-man conversation and work to break down some of these barriers that are put up, not only in our community, but like I said, society as a whole, and just help give people a resource and create some of those connections. So Alex, I don't know if you want to kind of start it off. We'll just kind of start off a bit general about maybe why mental health is so important to you, and maybe some of the impacts that you've kind of experienced throughout your time.
It was funny, and I was just thinking about this, and I was thinking about how things happen and sequence of things. You guys had asked me, I think it was a couple years ago, during the mental health summit. I think it was at the River Cree, to be the keynote, and I had done a topic, and I mean, as so many of our community, I struggled, with addiction. And I was clean for a number of years. And when you asked me to speak and be the keynote at a mental health summit, I went, okay, how can I kind of relate? Because I know addiction is kind of separate from that. And it was kind of that thing, that kind of separation. And they go, just speak about your story, just speak about that story. But I didn't feel like I was kind of getting the point that I wanted to across, because I didn't have that experience. So, I mean, I had gotten clean in 2019, drugs and booze, and I started to do these talks, and like I said, it was these talks that I couldn't figure out the connection between addiction and mental health, because it wasn't relevant back then. It wasn't a thing that was kind of talked about.
Yeah.
You would look at medication as being addictive, and if you were going to get sober, you can't have any addictive substances.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I was brought up in sobriety. Right. And it's so funny, because they would tell you that with such certainty. And by they, I don't mean medical professionals. I mean people that have great people that have kind of helped me, stay clean. But over the years, Braden, like what had happened, and especially, the last couple years, I was doing everything right. Everything right. Like I drive a beautiful car. I have a beautiful partner. I have, a great music career. I have a beautiful son. I have, and it's just, everything was going so good. Everything's great. But up here, I was going like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was going like that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out. I was working my recovery program. I was doing it, and I was helping a lot of people. I was doing that. So I crashed and burned. I had a mental health breakdown completely. I don't know how we're talking to kids. I guess 12 to 29. Like it consisted of a suicide attempt. I couldn't do it anymore, so I called for help. I called, Regan from the health department.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're struggling, reach out for help. It's the toughest thing to do. I have a bit of an ego, and anybody who kind of has spent time with me, I'm quite, kind of low self-esteem, but I can come across like that. But to ask for help, it was really, really hard. And I got sent to a facility where we talked about mental health. And when I was driving up there, I'm going, God, I was 5 years clean. Why am I here? Why am I here again? Because that mental health piece wasn't talked about. I'm going, why am I here? So when I pulled up, and I wasn't driving, somebody else was driving, I hop out of the van, and there was a guy there with 21 years clean. He had 21 years clean.
Mm-hmm.
And we were outside having a smoke, and he said to me, he says, I had 21 years clean. And he told my story
Mm-hmm.
of what had happened. He had the same length of relapse that I had. He had the same mental health feelings that I had, and I felt included.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's that power of connection. So that guy, he wasn't a counselor, he wasn't a therapist, he was another, he was another patient. He was another person just like me here trying to figure this out. So this center, and there's a new center kind of coming up in Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
with the M&A, which is really exciting.
That's
which
awesome.
is really great. It's Healing Waters, I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And Regan talks about it lots. They're going to be under the same umbrella as the place that I went.
Yeah.
And what was so special about the place that I went is they went, okay, sometimes you look at, you're depressed and anxious because you drink too much, or you drink too much because you're depressed and anxious.
It's one of those circles.
But it's like, this was the first place that they went, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care which one came first, the chicken or the egg. We're going to treat both.
Yeah.
You're going to get diagnosed, have a full mental health screening, as well as recovery, which was great because I love recovery, but they screened me. So like, here I am in five years, I get diagnosed with ADHD that I've had since I was a kid that wasn't looked at, depression, like massive depression, they said, anxiety and bipolar, all these mental health things that I'm now medicated for.
Mm-hmm.
And with proper help from medical professionals, the dosages, all that kind of got looked at. And I think in 3 weeks I was there for 6 weeks, but in the first 3 weeks we did the equivalent of what would have been done here in probably 2 years.
Wow.
Because you go to the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, try this medication for a month. See how it makes you feel.
Yeah,
come
back.
So it's like if you feel like shit and you have to wait a month, well,
you're still square one.
They told me that I have to wait for a month, but I'm feeling terrible.
Yeah.
And you wait for the month, nothing changes. Like, okay, now try this. For 3 weeks, I was a lab rat. Like day by day, different things get like if I didn't like this, I told them and they changed it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I feel a connection to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I know about the depression. I know that these things in my head and my gut had a name, and it wasn't just because I was an addict and an alcoholic. And it's kind of ironic. And I was just thinking about this in here when you were talking about this. And God, I'm so long-winded. I should run for politics, I think.
No, that's why we're here. Nice free-form, long podcast. Yeah.
It was just that I have a connection now too. So like if you hired me to be a keynote speaker for anything now, my story would be so much different than what it was before. Because before I'm going, how can I relate to people who struggle with mental health without addiction when I just struggle with addiction?
Yeah.
Didn't think I struggled with mental health or
didn't have that connection.
What the name of it was. Yes. Yeah, man. So it's like now I have that. And it was really awful how I got there. Like, it was like that. God, that relapse was so terrible. It was so bad. You talk to if you listen to any podcast and you talk to or you listen to Tommy Lee or you listen to John Mulaney or all of these guys who have gotten clean and gone back out, they're all going to say it was so terrible. Worse than when you stopped. Don't know how that works, but it was. So it kind of took that to get me into a facility that for the first time I was looked at as more than an addict.
Mm-hmm.
I was looked at somebody who had mental health problems.
For sure.
And it's just that piece that kind of connects the two. And I'm grateful. Things happen in sequence, like I said. And as hard as that was, and as hard as it is to be clawing back from that, there is a reason, because now it's like I can finally relate to the men's mental health.
For sure.
Where I felt a disconnect before, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Right. So now I can be. This is it, right?
Well, I really appreciate you for sharing that, Alex, and
Of
I know
course, man.
the community will as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to share stories like that, lived experiences. So to be able to put yourself out there and speak about this, that's part about breaking down the stigma as well.
The stigma is huge.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing it. It's weird, man. It's weird to be playing, like you said, and have 5 years. And I'm not. Actually, I am. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
But I had 5 years. I helped so many people. I've sobered people up. I've played everywhere. I've supported the elders going to the Vatican. I, volunteered playing for free around the community. I've helped people, with their jobs. I've helped a lot of people. My relapse. There was a massive stigma against it. People aren't looking at the mental health piece.
Yeah.
People aren't looking at Alex has depression.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't looking at Alex has ADHD.
Yeah.
And anxiety. Alex relapsed on coke.
Mm-hmm.
We can't get him. That's it. I've heard that countless times. It's frustrating. It's so hard. It's
that's the thing too, and I think it's starting to change with new generations. But it's for a long time, mental health wasn't treated as actual health.
Yeah, man.
Condition, problem, whatever you want to call it. But it's the same as you break your knee, you need medication, you need treatment, you need to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Or you have another problem, like mental health should be treated as any other health condition. And
100%.
like you said, by getting the proper support, by getting the proper medication, that's treating it. Because when you're not getting that treated, you're fighting a battle on multiple fronts. And fighting the battle on multiple fronts, a person can only do that for so long. So it's nice to see that people are starting to treat it as in the ways that they should, and start prescribing people, getting people medication and the proper tools that they need to fight these fights. So but also to build on what you're saying, support, and that you've provided support for people for so long. So it was great to see kind of the community, or from hearing what you said, the community step up and be a resource for you as well, and allow you to be supported for once instead of and the other way around. So you've provided community amazing music, amazing stories for so long. For them to be there for you is really good.
And that's it. You know, my circle, it got so small. You know, there's people like Regan. There's people like yourself. There's people who work here. You know, my girl. All of these people, you know, I can count on probably two hands, right? Keep these people close. Nurture those, right? And to just have that kind of stigma, like what's the date now? Is it January 21st or 20th? We're recording this or something.
21st.
21st. So in 4 days, I'm going to be 2 months clean, I guess. And that's weird to say after having five years clean, being an addiction advocate. But at 2 years clean, these gigs that I'm struggling, because some of these gigs, like I'm saying, they just see relapse, and I feel like a goalie getting shut out. It's weird, right? Like I couldn't, and it's I'm not complaining. I completely understand that, but that's the stigma. Is don't just look at what is so obvious on the surface. Alex is a cokehead. Alex is an alcoholic. That's on the that's on the surface, right?
Yeah.
But there's the pain there. There's the trauma that I had to deal with. I cut off family members over the past 2 months when I was there, did deep work, right? And like you said, I got these things treated. Like I'm on so many medications right now, and you know, it was, as you know, like you could probably remember, and anybody who talked to me, my legs would be going like this. I'd be going like this back and forth. I'd be like, you couldn't have a conversation with me. It's me pacing the room, right? Now I'm calm, and to be in this space with you for as long as we have been, no way before. But I encourage people, if anybody in your community, look below the surface. Look below that. You know, figure out why. Figure out, you know, you're gonna hear the people. You know, get sober, do this, and yes, get clean. That's what we need to do. But it's not. There's a, thank God now there's a connection between the two. Thank God that we're just kind of getting to that space now, where they're looking at these two things, because people like me are going back out, relapsing. People with 21 years going back out, and it was nice to just know that I'm not the only one. That I wasn't the kind of only person that went out after that time, right?
For sure.
Lots happening.
Well, it's a good point you make too, is that your mental health doesn't define you. So if you're dealing with depression, your depression doesn't define you. Or if you're dealing with anxiety, your anxiety doesn't define you. You're a multi-layered person with a lot of different traits, ability to love, ability to show kindness. Those things should define people, not dealing with addiction or dealing with mental health. Like and mental health is something we all have, so we're all dealing with it. So I think that's important for the youth to know, is if you are dealing with a mental health situation, that it doesn't define who you are. And when you walk out and you're in community, don't feel like you're labeled as that by the community, because you're not. People see you for the actual person you are. So that's a good point you made.
In our space,
for sure.
In our space, I can mostly in our space. Right. I like I said, man, count on two hands. Right. But everybody out there, the people that you know that have been in the trenches with you, that are there that send you the Happy New Year text like you sent me, the happy birthdays that you sent me. It was you and probably 4 other people. So now try that one on for size. And I'm not getting mad.
Mm-hmm.
All those people. There was 4 people. You were one of them. President Sandmeyer was one of them. The reached out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, it's keep those people in.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, in our communities, we did have, our close-knit towns. We weren't meant to be on Facebook all the time, to have the whole world have access to us all the time. That is abnormal. Like, that messes with us. I learned that. To have people have constant access to me and to you, that's not right, and you got to put on Facebook some kind of thing that you're doing well in order to give this kind of perception of yourself, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. Put the phone down. And if like one of the things that I learned there is breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're children and we're born, we breathe from the stomach, in and out, right? Our stomach should go up and down. When we breathe through the mouth, it's our chest, which causes anxiety.
Yeah.
Take out your cell phone. The next time you take out your cell phone, Larissa, Braden, and anybody that's there, try this. You're going to take out your cell phone, you're going to look. I guarantee you, while you're scrolling, you're going to forget to breathe.
Yeah.
You're going to forget to breathe.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that do? You forget to breathe.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that. Our whole world is like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are running on that now.
Yeah.
Right. So here we are. The breathing is supposed to be this soothing thing that we had since we were, just coming out of the womb. Right. So we need to restore ourselves to that.
And there is a lot there too that I'm sure the youth are aware of, but that social media does have a dramatic negative impact on mental health, because it creates this like false perception of what reality is.
Oh yeah.
Because when you go on there, people are showing you the best snippets of their life, or you go on there and you're like, why can't I be on this big vacation, or why can't I be buying this brand new house? So it creates this false perception about what reality is, and then you start to doubt yourself, you start to feel negative about yourself. So I think it is important in that vein that we do bring up that not to put too much stock and too much weight into social media, and just really focus on just being yourself, being a good person, and trying not to match up to what you might see online, because there's a very good chance that it's either a filtered perception or it's a very quick snippet of the best part of someone's year or whatnot. So
100%.
it is important to kind of sit back and take a look at that stuff once in a while, as well as try not to consume an overly huge amount of it. Try to go for walks, connect with nature, like get outside, get exercising, because the more you scroll, the more you take in, like it's just perpetuating those
and
things.
why is that so hard now?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that such a hard thing to do? Like, I can sit on the couch for hours and scroll.
Yeah.
I could be around people. I couldn't watch a movie before. You put on a movie, I guarantee you, most of you pick up your phone while the movie's on and are looking at it.
Yeah.
Watch the movie.
Yeah.
Be there with somebody, right? Take them in. Like, I hate to say this, and this sucks to say. For me, my son is the most beautiful person. He's 2, and he's bouncing, and he's playing in the middle of the floor, watching his TV. Here's dad on his phone, scrolling. I know I'm not the only one.
No, not the only one for sure.
I'm not the only one, but that sucks. So here's this little kid who doesn't know why dad isn't paying attention to him, or parents,
Yeah.
And just take a look at that.
Yeah.
Let's kind of take a look at that and be present for the people around us, because it's not even like we need to be present just to be present.
Mhm.
We need to be present because we're missing so much beauty that we're not going to get back. I'm not going to get to see my son at 2 ever again.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to take that in.
That is a good point to make, is the impact on relationships and being present. Like saying you're at an event and you're sitting there on your phone, and meanwhile there's
I'm guilty.
a knowledge keeper or a family member, an auntie you haven't seen in a while. Like put the phone down, connect with them, ask them how they're doing, ask them what their favorite part of the event is. Just little things like that, I think, can make a huge difference and positively impact not your own mental health but other people's as well.
Oh, 100%. Like if you think of an elder who didn't grow up with that, who's trying to connect with the youth who are scrolling. Actually, no, that's a bad example. I know most of the elders are playing bingo on their phone, their crib or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's just, be there. Like you think of a kid who we need to get back to that.
Yeah.
We need to get back to that inner child of how to connect with people in such a simplistic way, where we don't have that text. We don't have that. Like don't have Facebook anymore. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Go on in Instagram. It's not as easy to comment. Really, it's not as or don't. Like I don't have Facebook. I think I have Instagram, and I'm at the point where it's like, if you don't have my phone number, yes, ask me for my phone number. I'm not stuck up. But if you don't have my phone number, like we aren't really that close and need to keep in touch with each other all the time. And,
Yeah.
And it's it's what's that saying? He played, and think about this. When Facebook is, the comment sections are going, and being a musician, I've kind of felt this a little bit once or twice, and it used to hit me. I don't care anymore. But he played Spider-Man. What's his name?
Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland.
Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland said something. If you have a problem with me, text me. And if you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're not meant to all be connected all the time. That takes away the visiting part of it. We used to go to people's places to visit. It was a big event. You go to visit somebody.
Well, social media too is where the loud minority gather to vent, to share their things they're frustrated about. So you might get a false sense of, like, say if you go on one of these accounts and read a bunch of negative things, you might show up to an event and think, oh, all these people are upset, but think there's still 3,000 people there who are very, very happy to be there and enjoying themselves and very happy with everything. So try not to get caught up in what you might read on a
conversation.
Post
Have a conversation. I remember when I was a kid, and I think I was the last kind of generation that had this, was company.
Yeah.
Sebastian Maniscalco, comedian, talks about this. He says, when you had company and you heard the doorbell ring, that was a big event. You were excited. People came over, had tea, had cookies, talked about it. It was exciting for hours. And then you'd see them again next month.
Yeah, you pick up like you never left off kind of thing.
That's the company that these social media has kind of taken from us.
Yeah.
Because we can see what everybody's doing all the time. And it's like, why it's bad. It's bad. And like these and we know this, Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah. They have the top psychologists working for them to make these programs for us to spend as much time on them as possible, because that's how they get paid through ad revenue. So
paid through clicks.
That's kind of our world, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, where we're trying so hard to get away from it, but these psychologists have made it so hard for us. It should be so easy. My son is playing there. Let me put down my phone.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard? Let's just think about that.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at this, and we're unable to tear our eyes away from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's just that easy consumable information. Your brain doesn't have to think, it doesn't have to work. You just look, scroll, and it's filling your mind with information. So No, I think
that
it
used to be cribbage.
It used to be cribbage, yeah. I think that is a very important part of this topic and discussion is kind of realizing that and having a conversation about it. And like we're not saying you have to delete all the apps off your phone, but just be more mindful of it and yeah, just be more mindful and try to disconnect a little bit and reconnect with people in a face-to-face setting, or going for a walk, taking your dog to the park, those kinds of little steps to kind of combat this evolving world that we're living in.
I have a challenge, and I'm gonna try this. What's the next event coming up? The
YSG.
Big event. YSG. I don't know if this is going to be aired before then or not, but if it's not, then AMF. I'm going to say that during YSG and during AMF, I'm going to try to leave my phone in the car.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that idea.
Right? And you can hold me accountable to that.
If you see Alex with his phone,
I guarantee
you're okay to swat it out of his
It's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be really difficult for me to do that because I know that I'm addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, like, when I'm uncomfortable in a situation or I have social anxiety, it's easy for me to disassociate into my phone. So it's like, it's going to be tough, but let's try to do that. Or maybe for half of the day, for the dance, for whatever, just leave it in your phone or leave it in your car for a little bit of time. And let's see what happens at YSG or AMF, whatever comes after this airs.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Alex. And kind of moving into the final part of our episode, I just wanted to open it up for just a general discussion. If there's anything you want to talk about or promote in the upcoming months, or anything else that you'd kind of like to say to the audience before we end our time here today.
Oh, we've talked about lots. I'm thinking about starting a podcast like this. Kind of few people know kind of where direction I'm taking it. You do. Just trying to move things around. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be funny. We're gonna look at mental health and recovery and addiction. And I know guys who have been through it, addiction, and they're funny. They're funny guys. They tell their stories and we laugh, and we take this dark time of their lives and we laugh. And, a lot of us, we just need to laugh about that, and just, we are Métis people, and laughter is such an important part of it, so that's kind of what I want to do with that. I don't know, the new record, I guess it's not really that new anymore, wedged in tradition. If you're on Instagram, here I am telling you to stay away from your phone. Give me a follow on Instagram, that helps. Just kind of stay. I'm not going to be on Facebook, so you can kind of know that, but Instagram and my website, and maybe an artist page on Facebook, I don't know, just something. Give me a like, give me a follow, and look at these hall parties. Look out for those. Yeah. Look out for different things that I'm doing, different things that different musicians, Métis musicians are doing. Yeah. Non-Métis musicians as well, and just kind of get into community. Mm-hmm. And just be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And that's weird for me to say because I was always the type of person to go, you need to get well. Those were all my addiction talks, if anybody's heard them. Yeah. I feel so bad for doing that, knowing what I know now, but hey, we learn, right? Be compassionate. Be easy on yourself and just treat yourself good, right? If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you're no good to anybody else, right? Sure. And thank you so much for having me. This has been great to just sit and chat. And we're going to Ottawa, I think, in a couple weeks. Again, I don't know if that's relevant on here. So we're gonna have fun there, and YSG AMF. We got some good stuff going on there. Yeah. We got some ideas, some exciting stuff that I don't think the Métis community has ever seen before. Mm-hmm. We're gonna bring some old traditions back, start some new ones as well. That'll be nice.
For sure.
Yeah, just stay in contact with each other, stay connected to the Métis community.
Awesome. Well, definitely appreciate Alex. It's been a great conversation, and thank you all for listening and clicking that play button. And for anyone out there who kind of feels inspired or heard something in the episode, please feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah.
If there's people who are just looking for a place to go or a place for help, we're happy to help lead you in those right directions. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. Alex isn't a doctor, but we just wanted to have a conversation to help break down some of these stigmas and try to kind of move the ball in the right direction. So
that's an important piece. We are not medical professionals, so take what we say and what I'm saying as my experience.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody else's, right?
Yeah.
But that's my experience. This is what worked for me. This is who I am, right? I don't want to give people the wrong advice, and I've done that before, right? So just keep that in mind, and please reach out to me anytime. AlexKusturok.com. You can contact me through there, and I will get back to you. It won't be right away. I used to respond right away, but I'm gonna respond within my hour each day that I'm allowing myself to do administrative work, which is new for me again. But we'll keep in touch that way. Thanks so much for having me. Again, this has been really good.
Of course. And yeah, one last little call to action to the youth and anyone else who may be listening is at events, whether it be the dance parties, the dance hall parties, youth and seniors gathering, Alberta Métis Fest, just get up on the dance floor and start dancing to the music.
Jump around.
You don't have to know how to jig. You don't have to be super connected, but just get up there and start enjoying it. And we're super looking forward to the upcoming year. So thanks again, Alex, and talk to you guys again next episode.
Great.
Thank you.